Welcome ladies and gentlemen to the IESF 2019 Dota 2 Sri Lankan qualifier grand final match between PnX.Lanka Lions and x3.Origin unknowns. So PnX.Lanka Lions has already received a win in game number 1. So we'll be going into game number 2 in a very short while. So for those of you who don't know, this tournament, the winner of this tournament will be going to represent the country in Korea for the Dota 2 International World Cup, which is going to be very interesting to see. And with that, obviously the event has been organized by our Sri Lankan Esports Association, so the SLESA, and then obviously strategic partner Gamer.LK, and also affiliated with IESF. So the game is going to be very interesting. It's two top tier teams going up against each other. So after the toss, it's going to be x3.Origin unknowns on the Radiant side and PnX.Lanka Lions on the Dire side. So we're going to be in for a day of some very exciting Dota 2 action, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to be looking forward to it. The rosters are definitely locked in, and we're going to be in for some intense gaming. So just yesterday, we saw Origin unknowns manage to take the game against I believe it was the NA team, and they managed to win that. And then PnX.Lanka Lions actually beating x3 Victoria's Secret. And with that, we'll be getting onto the draft, as you can see. So it looks like Origin unknowns just taking out Wyvern, one of Hockey's specialties. So he's one of those heroes that he's really good at, and I think he still plays that hero. So I haven't and then Lanka Lions have actually taken out Night Stalker, which is very interesting, especially after a few of the buffs that he has received, especially during the night time, and having that AoE Aghanims void damage, which is something very interesting to see. Earthshaker being taken out, so they don't really want to deal with the Earthshaker either. We saw Lanka Lions running that in that last game against x3 Victoria's Secret, and it seemed to really give them a decent amount of control, as well as jumping along with initiation, and a lot of mobility coming in from that Earthshaker Aghanims. Jakiro being banned out, so very standard laning phase wise they want to pick, and x3.Origin actually went for an Underlord pick here. So not exactly sure on what the change of Underlord is, but looks like they want to go into something a bit more beefy, something that can, you know, get them from one location to another, just have that frontliner with a lot of DPS with that Firestorm, and obviously have that the stun as well from his second skill. Visage has been picked up very early in the draft as well, so might be an AG hero. It'll be interesting to see. So it's probably going to be a Visage mid. Chen and Sand King being picked up on the side of PnX.Lanka Lions. So Chen, just one of those heroes that can keep your cores always on the lanes, and just being able to put a decent amount of pressure in that early game. So that's something that we'll be having to look forward to in these games. So let's see, we'll have to check out his rotations and see how well he plays that. So it'll probably be in search of Juliet playing the Chen with Walid on the Sand King, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to wait and see until we get into game. So with that, looks like they banned out Tinker, they banned out Queen of Pain, they banned out Abaddon. So they don't really want to, you know, hand over most of these heroes to the side of x3.Origin and unknowns. Obviously, both these teams have done a lot of research on each other, and because of that, they probably know each other inside and out. They probably scrim together as well. So that's another option that they always are going to have. So with that, looks like we're going to be on PnX.Lanka Lions pick right now. So wait, why are there two Queen of Pains banned? Two Tinkers and two Queen of Pains bans, and with that Lanka Lions is going to be picking up Lina right here. So that is going to be something very interesting. And Center Warrunner being picked up by x3.Origin unknowns in this situation right now. So that's some interesting pickups coming out from x3.Origin unknowns. So there's an Underlord as well as a Center of Warrunner. So not exactly sure what the idea behind this is. Maybe it's something that I've missed, but looking to run a very tanky run at you kind of lineup, and we might see something interesting in this game. So we'll have to wait and see. With that, Lena of course can be played as a position 4, can be played as a mid lane as well. Very safe in the mid lane, and does a lot of damage, has a decent amount of range as well. So once you get a few levels in Fiery Soul, you can start, you know, last hitting quite comfortably as well. Last hitting with Dragon Slave is also quite easy, and with that it's going to be PnX.Lanka Lions getting the next pick. So we'll have to wait and see to see exactly who they pick up here. Just checking on the last few picks, and then we'll be getting into the last bans from both the teams, and then we'll be getting into the game. So it's going to be exciting so far. So looking at things, it's a very very interesting kind of draft coming out from both teams. And with that we'll be going, so Slark seems to be picked up.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban.
The undying waits.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Going to round out most of their they're going to round out their drafts basically. So we'll have to wait for them to ban. I believe it was Lanka Lions ban right now, so they are going to be banning, which gives Origin Unknowns that last pick. Oh, is it their last pick? Sorry, I'm a little bit out of it, but with that, we're gonna have to just double check. We're still waiting on them to ban right now. I think right now I really like the draft on the side of PnX.Lanka Lions because they do have a decent amount of lockdown. They have a late game plan as well, and in x3.Origin Unknowns looks like they're in a little bit of a timer with that Visage. They need to get those early towers, put in that early pressure, especially with the Undying being picked up as well. Center Warner will give them a little bit of mobility to catch up against most of these heroes. Lina, once Visage hits level 6, I think Lina should probably want to leave the lane because there isn't really too much that she can do against the familiars because she's very squishy in the early game and she'll have to buy some items to kind of tank up. The chain rotations are going to be very, very key. I think Visage is going to be a very difficult target to bring down, but with the burst damage that Lina does bring to the table, I think they might be able to bring it down once or twice before he hits level 6. Sand King is going to have a pretty decent time right now, but x3.Origin Unknown still hasn't picked up their safe lane, and it looks like they have banned out a Venomancer. Lanka Lions have banned out a Venomancer, so they think that the push strat is coming in and they don't really want to deal with it, and Venomancer is just one of those annoying heroes, especially with the talent that he gets. He's going to be dropping a lot of plague wards and he's just going to ruin a lot of mobility for most of these heroes, and they don't really have that much tank ability other than the Sand King. So Sand King will want to go into something like Crimson Guard, into Pipe, something like that, just to be able to mitigate most of the damage coming out from the side of x3.Origin Unknowns, because with the Vlad's the Dominator as well as the Solar Crest on the side of the Visage, he's going to be doing a decent amount of damage in this early stages of the game, the early mid stages. So that is going to be the time where he wants to shine, start pressuring those towers, taking those towers one by one, putting pressure on the other lanes as well, and making sure that this Slark does not have a really good game. So they'll probably want to put the Undying in the Slark lane as well, just kind of pressure him out, make sure that he doesn't get too much in the lane, because he seems to be the one that kind of rounds out everything for PnX.Lanka Lions. But we still don't know. Now the x3.Origin Unknowns is going to ban out Pangolier right here. So Pangolier is just one of those really annoying heroes you don't want to deal with. The Rolling Thunder as well as the Disable from Swashbuckle is something you don't really want to deal with all the time. So this time looks like we will be seeing the Pangolier being taken out. So the last pick going to x3.Origin Unknowns. It's probably going to be that safe laner. Who are they going to pick up to round out this draft? Someone who is good at barreling down, maybe a Lycan, something like that, and make PnX.Lanka Lions the life a bit difficult. You can pick up the Lycan and use that Lycan form, pick up another Dominator as well, have a lot of units and make it very difficult for Lanka Lions to kind of deal with that. They do have a Chen though, so they can always steal those units if they want to. That is always going to be the threat, that is going to be a threat of that. But looks like they're actually going to pick up an Oracle here. So I'm definitely not sure where these lanes are going to go on the side of x3.Origin Unknowns. There isn't really a clear path. It might even be an Underlord safe lane, just rack up some of the damage at PnX.Lanka Lions with a very, very disgusting Broodmother pick in the end, and that is going to spell a lot of problems for the Visage here in that early stage of the game, because the Broodmother probably going to be played by Paradox is going to be super annoying in this mid lane. We're probably going to see towers falling down quickly, and maybe they might even abandon the mid lane almost completely. So with that, Yeah, so the two drafts very interesting. Lanka Lions with that last pick, Broodmother might be able to cheese out the game, but they've already one game up in this best of 3 series right now. So the first game was given as a walkover, and PnX.Lanka Lion has received that win point. So all they have to do to win the qualifier at this stage right now is to win this game. So make sure to join our Sri Lankan Dota 2 community as well. So you can find the link right down below, gamer.lk/Dota2. So that's something you can always join up and kind of just get together with the community and find your own team and get started. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, this game is going to be super exciting. It's going to be something to definitely look out for. 100%. It's going to be a battle of two of the best teams in Sri Lanka right now. I believe X3 Victoria's Secret is also among one of those teams, but unfortunately they lost in the semi-finals against Lanka Lions. And with that, you can see once again, PnX.Lanka Lions going to be taking on Origin Unknowns. So Origin Unknowns once again just showing their stuff right now, making it all the way to the grand finals. A lot of big names in that team as well. So it's going to be a very interesting game today that we're going to be seeing, and in a very short while we'll be getting into the action of the game, and then we can see more Dota 2 and see how good these teams are going to be playing, and they'll be representing our country at Korea, which is going to be crazy in terms of esports for sure. So once again, great job being done by Gamer.lk to make sure that all of this happens, and obviously for IESF as well as Slazer for organizing, for IESF for affiliating, and for Slazer for organizing the international tournament, giving us an opportunity, giving the players an opportunity to go abroad and experience what it is like to take up an international level of play instead of just here in Sri Lanka. And definitely previously also Lanka Lions from the League of Legends side has gone and kind of represented the country in multiple tournaments, and now we have Zegi Esports also, who currently are the first ever esports team here in Sri Lanka to get their own salary and working with Loki Esports. So that's something, the future for Sri Lanka right now is great. But in terms of Dota, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be some early game action. There's going to be a lot of early game action, most probably, that we won't see the teams kind of just sitting back and farming and trying to figure things out like that. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to look for those kills. The Stark wants the agility, and then even Underlord wants that permanent damage that he can get from his third skill as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they're going to lane, whether it's going to be a safe lane center, whether it's going to be an off lane center, or whether whether it's going to be a mid lane Underlord. Anything can happen. I mean, mid lane Underlord would be pretty decent against the Broodmother just to deal with those broodlings, and it's pretty tanky as well. The Atrophy Aura is pretty nice, and just having that last hitting ability with the Quelling Blade and a Stout Shield built into a bracelet for tank ability, get some regen as well. So he might be a better match against the Broodmother if they want to do that. But other than that, of course, this Broodmother, if he's up against the Visage, he'll probably have a very free game. The Visage needs to get those levels. He needs to get those items. That the timing on the Dominator is going to be very interesting. I don't even know whether you still make Dominator on Visage, but with that, Vlad's, we see something on the lines of Dominator into Solar Crest into Vlad's, and then he's a super tanky. He has so many auras. You might even pick up, sometimes you see them pick up a pipe, sometimes you see them pick up the Rod of Atos for more aggressive abilities, and then obviously with the birds, they can always micro and get those stuns off, and they can do a decent amount of damage. But anyway, with that, we're just waiting to get into game, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we're going to be having x3.Origin Unknowns on the Radiant team. We're going to be having PnX.Lanka Lions on the Dire team. So once again, very interesting drafts. I think more rounded off is the Lanka Lions team. So it's going to be a mid Broodmother, it's going to be a support laner most probably with the Chen. Sand King is going to be off lane, and it's going to be a safe lane Slark. So they're going to be that's going to be the general idea of the lanes, but we'll have to wait and see exactly how they want to place it. They might expect a change coming in to deal with the Broodmother as well. So if x3.Origin Unknowns they want to change things up, they can always send the Underlord into the mid lane, which will probably be the best bet against the Broodmother, because once those spiders kind of pick. So with that, on the side of the Radiant team, we actually have an Underlord, which is very interesting. Not really sure why they would pick up that hero. So personally, I have a grudge against the hero. I'm not too happy with the hero, like in the sense that I've always found him quite boring. But maybe something in the patch that changed recently found him to be more viable, and that's why we see x3.Origin Unknowns pick it up. And obviously, they wouldn't run it if they weren't confident in it, and they wouldn't make it to the finals if they didn't know exactly what they were doing. So they're going to go in for that Underlord, which is a very surprising pick for me. And then immediately picking up the Visage also secondly, just picking up these very very difficult to play heroes, but also very rewarding if you know how to play them properly, you know, get the momentum going, and some of their players are very comfortable with those hero picks as well. So that's something that is always going to be looked forward to most players, you know, just pick comfort and play the heroes that you're really good at, and then, you know, hope for the best, because those are the limitations that, you know, you can always keep, because those are the heroes you always keep playing over and over and over and over again during rank, and you know, that's your most successful hero. So that's why they're probably running it into that into this lineup. And then we saw Centaur Warrior big picked up by x3.Origin unknown, so that's probably going to be their offlaner. Centaur has seen some good play, but then after the few little bit of nerfs here and there, he has changed quite a bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of execute that, whether they go for position 4 Centaur even, but even then I don't think so, but we'll have to wait and see. But then with that, they actually had Oracle in the last pick. So Oracle is going to be like one of those defensive options that they always have. So if anyone gets on top of anyone on the side of x3.Origin unknown, especially if they want to try and get on top of the Visage and blow him up, the Oracle is always going to be there to save them with that false promise.
Thirty seconds to battle. The battle begins.
To make him super viable in this match.
So basically what Origin Unknown is trying to do is go for like a 15-minute GG here, 15 to 20 minutes. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to get an Aghanim Scepter on Underlord, and Visage is going to get an HOTD, and they're just going to push mid.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I also thought what the plan was. And right now you can see, you know, the Underlord is just really beating into the Broodmother. Even with the Spiralings, I don't think they'll be really able to put too much pressure on this. It's going to be like a stalemate in terms of how the match actually goes. So you can see, you know, the Underlord with like 30 plus damage already just kind of beating into the Broodmother, forcing into a lot of exchanges, just getting into a lot of this damage and just confrontations, you know, not even using any of his skills. Does have a decent amount of regen if he wants to use it. Has that South Shield as well as Quelling Blade to do a decent amount of damage, so he's 100% going to be able to secure all of these last hits. It's going to be very difficult for Broodmother to usually like bully, how Broodmothers usually do. They want to always bully these players out of the lane, and in this case it might be very difficult for him to do so.
Yeah, it might be, but then the Broodmother can also outplay him quite a bit. If Underlord doesn't use his first skill properly, the Broodmother can take advantage of that, and Underlord kind of suffers a lot if he gets pressured and he's not able, as you can see.
So we actually see the Visage going down in the bot lane right there to the Lina and the Sand King. So Burrow Strike into LSA combination right there, doing a decent amount of damage and not having too many levels in Grave Creeper's Cloak. He's going to be, you know, he's not as tanky as he usually is.
And anyway, he cannot do much because of the Sand King. Sandstorm does so much damage to him. It removes the Grave Creeper's Cloak, and it's just very strong against Visage. So Visage is going to suffer quite a bit, but this Chen pick coming from Lanka Lions here, it's going to be very crucial because it helps a lot in the early game. And if they can apply a lot of pressure onto this Undying Centaur lane and not let them get the items they need to push at 15 minutes, it's going to be very easy for them to, you know, kind of stomp over this push strat coming from Origin Unknown.
So here you can see what you were talking about, Abdul. So every time, you know, the Broodmother just kind of baiting out the Firestorm and then just going in for all this damage. Look at the damage that Underlord is actually.
It's very difficult for Underlord to do well. It just takes some time for Broodmother to get used to the lane and get some levels into the first skill. And also Broodmother is going to outfarm the Underlord by quite a bit. And coming into this pushing thing coming from Lanka Lions is going to be a little hard because of the Epicenter and the Lina. You see the Lina taking quite a bit of damage on this bot lane. I think they're trading a little bit Underlord also, I think Underlord's gonna have a little bit of a tough time this game just because of this Broodmother pick. But all he needs is that scepter. So let's wait and see if they can, accomplish that.
Oh, looks like the stun coming off onto the Slark here, getting a little bit aggressive with those retaliate stacks, not really using them, but Slark taking a decent amount of damage there, and but with that, looks like they're making a go onto the Visage here, falling very low. The false promise is there, but no, it's not going to be enough to save him. Sorry, not the false promise, I can't remember, I think it was Fate's Edict.
Yeah.
So just not going to be enough to heal him up, and with that, Visage going down for the second time in this bot lane, and things seem to be going quite well for PnX.Lanka Lions, and they need this early game. Oh, once again a stun coming out onto the Slark in the top lane. The Slark, oh, and with that undying second skill, being able to right click him down, and meanwhile Underlord being chased down by the Broodmother, but the Broodmother also getting taken down in exchange in the mid lane to the tower there, but the solo kill going the way of the Broodmother, and this lane for the, looks like all three, so far other than the top lane, the mid lane and the bot lane doesn't seem to be going too well for the side of Origin Unknowns.
No, Origin are doing okay mid lane. The Underlord getting the last hits, the same last hits of the Broodmother, so he's gonna have decent farm. All he needs is the scepter. He doesn't really mind dying too much. He just doesn't want to lose too much or give the Broodmother too much in this lane. So mid lane is also pretty okay for Origin Unknown. Just this Visage needs to get his levels and needs that helm to do something in this game. And
so once again in the bot lane, they seem to just miss that LSA. Looks like they're turning, and the disarm comes out from the Oracle, while the Visage actually wanted to get a little bit aggressive on the Lina there. So a little bit of miscommunication there, but they do have the sustain to kind of just chill in this lane right there. And now Jen just being super annoying, just having this, having one of these creeps just beating to the Undying, popping up Mango as well, just going to be trading with the Slark. Needs to be a little bit careful here, but obviously we knew going into this game that the Slark was going to have a difficult game with the Undying, because just how good he is at dominating most of these lanes, and once again just running at the chain, just using those DK stacks right there. And with that, we'll be going into the first set of bounty rooms, 5 minutes in, and looks like he might be giving one up. Looks like Undying was going to be able to get one, and so is Mandula on the other side. So it's going to be a 2 for 2. It's going to be a 3 for 1 actually. So looks like in this time x3.Origin Unknowns managed to pick up 3 and Lanka Lions only 1. And with that, Visage actually goes down in the bot lane once again for that little bit where the Oracle kind of backed off, and this is not the kind of start that you want for the Visage, because he is a key part of your strategy. Like you said, they want to try and end the game in about 20 minutes, so if they don't get that decent timing on Helm of the Dominator, we might see x3.Origin Unknowns in a very tough game.
Yeah, the good thing about it is Visage doesn't need to get these other items, like even Boots is very optional to get right now, so as long as he's getting CS in the lane, which he isn't right now, but if he does get a little bit of space coming to this 10 minutes, 12 minutes mark, then he'll be okay. But Paradox is going to be pressuring these towers mid, and it's going to affect them a lot once Paradox starts taking down the towers. It's going to be harder for Origin Unknown to actually, accomplish this push strat.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they have really, other than the Centaur, they don't really have a great way of getting on top of this Broodmother, which is a huge problem. But with that nice 2-man Burrow strike into the LSA, but missing the Visage there, beating into the Oracle, just going to enhance that physical damage. One more right click should be enough, but the heal is there. One more right click, but no, it's not going to be enough. The heal is there, and Midnight is going to be able to make it out very safely, very close. Hockey going in for that double LSA, but not really connecting, but at least managed to connect onto.
Might be in trouble here.
Slark also falling a little bit low here, but seems like he is going to hide where it's safe. It's going to be going into the trees, and with that, once again dominant laning coming out from x3.Origin Unknowns here on the top lane. The Centaur and Undying doing a lot of work, and once again getting caught out with the Visage. Once again just getting that the disable on him, just to be able to mitigate a decent amount of damage coming in from the Sandstorm. I believe the Burrow Strike was already used, and the Visage is having quite a difficult time, but luckily the Oracle is there to keep him sustained up, and with that Lina actually having picked up an Arcane Rune as well, Arcane Boots as well, and now just moving in, and Centaur Warren manages to secure the top lane tower, the T1 tower, and once again Oracle getting caught out. Burrow Strike is there, and he's immediately going to get taken down, and just getting picked off in the bot lane. I think that's 4 kills in the bot lane and 1 in the mid lane.
Yeah, but the Slark, I feel like the Slark pick is going to be very, very hard for them to utilize in this game, just because of the nature of the Origin Unknown draft. So I think the Sand King needs to have a lane like this, needs to have a decent lane, needs to have a good lane for them to be able to stop this push coming out from Origin Unknown. But this Centaur is taking quite a bit of damage on this top lane. He's dropping pretty low here.
So once again he's actually jumping in, but this Slark is falling very low. The double edge was coming in, but he was just missing. He does not have level 6 anymore. He does have another pounce in another 12 seconds. The Undying is going in. He actually finds the Slark. Few more right clicks. The decay is there, and he's actually going to get taken down. Toadboss being chased down by both the Undying as well as this Centaur Warrunner in the top lane, and now Chen coming in to try and slow down this push, but so much damage already being done to this tower, and looks like the plan is already pretty much in action in the top lane with these two, and Center Warren actually getting isolated by the Undying right here. He might actually get taken down. He's going for the TP. He's managing to make it out nicely. Heads up play by him to TP to the shrine as well. Picks up his face booth, picks up a Vanguard, and he's extremely farmed at 8 minutes and 13 seconds into the game.
Yeah, now this is pretty scary. The Broodmother is opting to trade farm with the Underlord by not even, going close to him, and the Underlord is going to get an early axe because of this, and it's going to be very difficult because of the Centaur getting a really good start here. Paradox might need to come up with a plan to deal with this Underlord for strat. Otherwise, it's going to look very difficult for them coming into this mid game. The Chen won't be able to do too much. He's trying to get his level, trying to get his 6.
Oh, we might actually see the Oracle going down solo to the Lina here, but he actually missed 2 hits right there. Moving to the high ground, gets a few more. 1 more right click should be enough. He does have a Dragon Slave. He wants to use it, but he gets blocked by his own illusions. No, Hockey, not like this. Not like this. Yeah, it is pretty difficult there.
But Centaur might be able to take another tower down in this top lane.
Oh, Veil being used on the Visage right there, but he does have the birds once again, just opting to fight up against the Sand King there. But immediately the Sun getting cancelled here on the Undying. He's probably going to go down here once again. Lina being recalled, so they're not going to be able to kill the Visage, but they do manage to get the Undying. That's 173 gold. But with that, looks like Muffin is able to secure the T2 tower in the top lane as well. And so far, x3.Origin Unknown is getting a decent amount of map control, getting the two top tier 1 and tier 2 towers, and they're doing a really good job. And the center is quite huge at the moment, and he needs to create the space for the Visage to kind of get up those items. Like we said, he doesn't really need much, but once he gets the hair on the Dominator, he can do put a lot of pressure.
Yeah, smoke gang coming from Hockey and Chen here. Chen getting revealed here. Center's gonna be able to walk away most probably.
Wait, why is he going back?
Oh,
he turned back, but I think the center will definitely not meet him, and the Lina is not close enough for the follow-up stun. But with that, the center one is going to be able to walk away, and once again, Visage managing to get a decent amount of farm out of that, at least, because the Sand King and the Lina were separated, but they did manage to get the Undying, but just for 175 gold. And with that, the next set of bounty runes are coming in. It's going to be another 3 for 1, but this time in terms of Lanka Lions, once again just shining up. The Centaur Warana quite tanky, going in for that Crimson Guard, it looks like. And now looking at the Broodmother, who we haven't really seen too much of other than with the Underlord, just kind of farming it up together. Medallion of Courage being picked up. He has a Soul Ring. He has about an item. He actually has another item being delivered on the courier, but he needs to be very careful. He can be easily taken out by the Underlord here, who is just kind of chilling in the mid lane, just cutting the creep waves, and with that, just kind of trading farm at this at the moment. But he does have 99 CS on the Broodmother, 77 on the Underlord, so pretty much even in terms of net worth, also just about 400 gold apart, not a huge difference. And in terms of net worth of the teams overall, it's just 1k in favor of Lanka Lions, so anything can happen in this game. But the timing for Origin Unknowns will be coming very soon, and with that, a stun landing onto the Visage, but the double bird stun onto the Lina here, just making sure that Hawk is not being able to, but Chen actually runs into it, gets a nice stun, and there should be a follow-up stun with the LSA as well, and Burrows try to finish off, and the birds actually going down there. Will they be able to save them is a question. And in the meantime, the rest of the 4 heroes of x3.Origin Unknowns chasing down the Stark, but not really being able to catch up to him and do a decent amount of damage. And with that, looks like Muffin is going to be happy, trying to get this T1 tower with the Broodmother even there. They're not afraid, and with that, they're actually making a move here onto the Undying. The Undying falling quite low, but they might actually be able to once again stamping being used, but Paradox managing to make it to the high ground, and that is going to be it. He needs to back off with the Undying. He needs to be so careful because Paradox can always come back in. Diffuser Blade also being picked up, going for the courier. He wants the courier, he's going for it, Abdul, but no, he's going to change his mind, use the Soul Ring, and once again just cut the creep wave. But with that, they do lose that T1 tower in the mid lane before the Broodmother can take that one.
So the thing about this strat coming from Origin Unknown is that Broodmother is going to be able to cut the creep wave most of the time. So if they don't catch out this Broodmother before she does that, it's going to be very difficult for them to do this strat. And the courier needs to be careful here. It's taking a bit of damage, but it's going to be okay. But as you can see, everyone's grouping up now. Everybody's ready. I think the Visage has got his item ready now. So
oh, Crimson Guard already done on the Center of Warren at 12 minutes into the game. He's super farmed. The Sand King also has picked up that Veil, but he seems to be wanting to just kind of chill in this bot lane, push it out, try to force someone there. And the Stark actually might get caught out here, takes a decent amount of damage, but the Pounce is there with the Dark Pact as well. But looks like they're ready to go high ground, Abdul. Will this strat work out for these guys in the end?
It should work out for now because they have Broodmother cannot cut the top creeps. That's the problem right now. They can cut mid, but he cannot cut top. I think they're gonna opt to give up this tower unless the Sand King is ready to fight here. Sand King
is TPing in. This have a Burrow Strike once again goes in, but only connects onto the Underlord there. Once again gets a nice stun out there. The Laguna Blade is there as well, but it's not going to be enough. Once again coming in from the center corner, getting a 2-man stun, but the second skill from the the Underlord is there as well, so getting rooted up. They're really not committing too much, but they do have the sustain. Once again, Center Warana thinking of going in. Spades actually getting caught out. Sankey might actually go down. Few more right clicks should be enough. The birds are there. The birds are going to finish him off. There's 150 gold. Once again, going for these range racks, and they're falling down so fast. Abdul looks like they're going to be losing a full set of racks. Broodmother is trying his best to put pressure on the T2 tower, but it might be over. They're actually already back to full HP. Nice 3-man burst strike coming in from the Sand King here, follow up by 3-man stun coming in from the Lina as well. The start goes in, doesn't even the damage, but the false promise is there on the Unlord, turning around, trying to right click. Few more hits should be enough to bring down the start. He's actually falling in low, but the nice stun coming out from the Sand King there to bring down to, it's going to be Underlord as well as the Broodmother and Chen, they're doing the same thing. They're managing to bring down these towers. It's only 30 minutes into the game. The Chen is actually doing so much damage to this T3 tower in the bottom lane. The Broodmother hasn't done that much damage, but what a play. Just holding the base with 3 heroes. Oh my god, what a play coming out.
Might be in trouble here. He gets caught by the Underlord route, but he is going to be fine just walking back. No, there's no center to actually stop him right now. So he's gonna
I don't think they'll catch him, so he should be able to get out pretty safely. They do manage to get the top full set of racks though, so that is a huge win for them, and that is even before most of the items are actually peaking up though. They do have another at least another 16-minute window before they can, before we see Lanka Lions really being able to do anything. This Slark doesn't seem to be able to do too much. He almost went down there, but a nice burst strike coming out from the Sand King there to save him.
Yeah, but now the Broodmother is just going to start cutting creep waves, and Lina and Sand King can easily kill off this creep wave. It's just like this. I think there's going to be...
Oh, the Oracle is actually going to go down to the Broodmother here.
That's a good pick off by Paradox. Very, very important. He might even get the courier for this if they're not careful. The courier? Is it not going to get microed?
Okay, it's going to, obviously. It has to get microed there. I mean, oh, it's joking and jiving, it's going the wrong way. The Broodmother sees it. Oh,
but now I think Arjun are in a really tough spot. They have to glyph. If they don't have a glyph, oh, the Lina killed the creep wave as well. So then they don't have a creep wave to get to go and push this tower. Slark pushing top, Chen pushing bottom. There's no way for Arjun to actually push high ground without creeps.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the one big flaw, and especially with having the Broodmother as well. So you can see just the difference in net worth after those few kills. 3K going the way of Lanka Lions, but even the experience lead currently with Lanka Lions, because everyone on the side of x3.Origin Unknowns is grouped up. But seems that they're going to be dealing with the issue and starting to push out the other lanes as well, because they know that Paradox is always going to be able to cut that mid lane wave. So if they, as long as they keep the pressure and just keep split pushing both these teams, I don't think that'll be a huge issue. But looking at things right now, if x3.Origin Unknowns don't kind of capitalize on the lead that they have in terms of their power spike, it's going to be quite difficult, because Lanka Lions is...
Their power spike is almost gone right now, because now they got the top tower as well. They're actually panicking. I feel like they're panicking a little bit. The Oracle shouldn't have died in that push. They should have made sure the creep wave didn't die in the mid lane there. So they're missing a lot of timings on Arjun Unknown. But the thing is, they need to kill this Underlord when they come high ground, or they're going to lose the racks for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Underlord is just dishing out so much damage. We saw the range racks evaporate, and even the towers are going down so fast with all these auras that they have as well, and it's so super tanky right there. And once again, the Crimson Guard is very nice 2-man stun by the Lina here. They do have a creep wave. They drop a few sentry wards. Slark is coming in to try and help out with this defense, but does Sand King have a blink dagger? Underlord taking a decent amount of damage. Once again, just dropping his first skill there. The Qs are being used, and once again burst strike coming around the center. He's going to get caught out. Nice stun onto 2 there by the Underlord. They're just managing to just kind of survive everyone. Once again, Broodmother is also here. Nice 3-man start by the Lina here, jumping, spouting out onto the Oracle here, but immediately using false promise on himself, and now getting chased. All 5 of them making a run for it, and the drift out to get all 5 of them out, and the Oracle doesn't even go down, forcing rotations from the side of Lanka Lions, and they lose the T3 tower, and slowly Lanka Lions having to deal with this push coming in from Origin Unknowns, and they seem to have found some sort of reward from that barrel down the bottom.
I mean, they did lose T2 top as well to the creeps coming from Chen there, so it feels like it's getting harder and harder for Arjun Unknown to actually push this high ground. They're getting levels on the side of Lanka Lions, which is the biggest thing in this game, because they're pushing as 5 heroes, they're getting a little bit less experience. As you can see, Midnight still level 7, Undying level 8. They're all pretty low level compared to like the Brood, which would have, I think she's pretty high right now. And even, Paradox being level 14 already compared to all these heroes. So the levels are a bit lackluster coming from Origin Unknown, and this is where they kind of suffer. And Brood is just going to cut the creep wave here, I feel like. I don't think they can do too much.
Yeah, Brood is going to cut the creep wave. They should be able to catch it. Oracle is there. Once again, Midnight needs to be very careful here. Jumping out is the Brood Mother. Once again, trying to go in, and the nice stun onto 2 from the Lina there. Going onto the... Brood Mother actually gets caught out. All 5 heroes are there, but he's going to be able to walk it off onto the top there. But nice 3-man stun once again by the LSA coming out from the Lina here. Just Brood Mother trying his best to kind of cut this creep wave, but they're not being able to. The creeps are there. Even the little Brood Mother babies are there. They're almost there to bring down this T2 tower. They're going in for this death ball up. They're committing 100% right now. But the Brood Mother is, like you said, is doing a really good job. And meanwhile, in the top lane, the Slark is pushing it out as well. So we do see a lot of split pushing action coming in. And Brood Mother going for the next one. Do they have creeps for this? I do not think so. And the backdoor protection is already in activation right there. And top lane is being pushed out. Bot lane is being pushed out. They don't have any creeps. They need to head back. They don't really have too much of an option here. And they need to kind of respect Lanka Lions and the way that they're playing right there. If they can catch out this Brood Mother and bring him down, then it's a different story. But they can actually manage to fight out the Oracle here. Going for the shrines right now. They might be able to make a Roshan play, but even then, buddies, do you think it'll do them any good?
I mean, they can still kill towers through backdoor with this strat. It's not like they don't have the damage, especially with the retaliate stacks and the Visage Birds. So it's not like they cannot push high ground, but the thing is, this Brood Mother can... Now that they've taken all these towers and
looks like Paradox might get caught out here. He does not have any more waves. He's actually trying to get the stun. It's not going to work. And here comes the ultimate from the center. They might actually see the Brood Mother actually going down. He actually pops. And there's a pause coming out from the Visage because he has disconnected. But I think it should be the Brood Mother going down here. Very unfortunate. Even Midnight not being able to pick up his route there. But with that, so far, it seems like X3 Victor Origin Unknowns. I don't know. I'm mixing up Origin Secret. Everything is getting mixed up right now. But the top lane push was extremely successful. They did that really well. But I really like the way Lanka Lions is kind of dealing with it. But how much longer do you think they need to hold out before they can turn around the game?
Well, Slark needs to get a little bit big. If Slark gets big and they can kill the Underlord, if they manage to kill the Underlord, they're fine. Like, they don't really care about anyone else other than this Underlord. Even Visage is pretty whatever. Just remove that Scepter buff coming from the Underlord and then you're basically good to go. Especially with the Sand King being pretty farmed and even the Brood being pretty farmed. All they need to do is focus down this Underlord. But it is not easy to do that. They don't really have Maledict like on Witch Doctor or like a Desolator to do a lot of damage to him. And we can see the replay here on this fight at how to take the racks here. It was a pretty good hold, but they didn't manage to take the racks.
Yeah, initially the go from the Sand King was there. They blew a lot of the damage coming out onto the Underlord, but he's so tanky and having an Oracle behind him, there's really no chance of them being able to burst him down. And this strat seemed to be working quite well. The birds going in and finishing off the tower as well, just with one more last right click there, and then committing. Sand King getting rooted up by Underlord there and managing to get out a little bit with that Burrow Strike, but then immediately having to buy back and come back, and then managing to get that 3-man Burrow Strike, 3-man LSA. They managed to get 2 kills on the Undying as well as them. But so far the game has been quite intense in terms of how the game has gone. It doesn't feel like a 90-minute game, and obviously Lanka Lions being 1 game up for the moment. They managed to they've actually managed to get a walkover in the first game, so if they win this game, they're actually going to be taking the qualifier home, and that will give them a chance to go to Korea and represent Sri Lanka in the World Championship.
Yeah, and the center is not with them right now, so I don't think they're going to push really.
Yeah, they need the center. I think the Crimson Guard is super important, and the retaliate stocks as well.
So they should be careful here. If they do manage to take a fight without the center here, it's going to be a little bit hard. They do have Stampede, so they don't even have Stampede right now actually.
Yeah, and because they use the Stampede to bring down the Brood Mother, and here's a Atos picked up on center, which is very interesting. I think more control for the Brood Mother, and once again just beating in this tower. It's going down so fast. What is this? It's just insane, and there's no way for them to get in. Once again, we're getting rooted out, both of them, and now they're going to get a stun onto the LSA with that the range, and now Sand King going with the Epicenter, not really doing too much and getting caught out. He's falling down low. Actually, Epicenter wasn't even used. He actually gets taken down, Sand King, and now the TP in coming in from the start. Can they find this Undying? The Undying actually gets ulted by the Oracle. Is safe, and once again Paradox actually goes down, forced to buy back right here, and once again going on to the chain. This time they're trying to catch out anyone that they can. Once again the root coming out. They're going to lose a melee Rex as well. They're going to lose another set. Abdul, Origin Unknown, currently on fire, and they might be able to end the game. Actually, they're going to the bot lane. If they get mega clips, this game is over. They actually actually do lose one more. Once again, the Chen actually goes down. He has to buy back. Star gets taken down. I think this is game over. They're going for T3s. They're going for T4s. They're beating in the Unlord is tanking it right now. And GGWP is called. And looks like x3.Origin Unknowns is going to be able to bring it back 1-1. Abdul, we are going to be going into a game number 3. Looks like the cheese strat worked out.
Yeah, this was the plan from the beginning. You know, I'm friends with Mandala, so I've talked to him quite a bit, and he was talking to me about the strat. They even played it against the Bedtime Samurais yesterday, so I don't think Indomitus was prepared. They maybe didn't watch the game or something, because they got their ideal draft this game.
So before we get into the nitty-gritties of the game and before we break it down, we're going to head into a small commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. And when we get back, we'll be going into a small post-match analysis, and once we're done with that, we'll be going to game number 3. Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to IESF 2019 Sri Lanka qualifier for Dota to the grand finals, where we just saw x3.Origin Unknowns take a game off Lanka Lions. So currently the scores are 1-1. So we'll be going into the game number 3. But before we do go into that, what do you think Lanka Lions kind of did wrong to just be able to be taken out within 20 minutes by Origin Unknowns?
I mean, this strat, that's just how the strat is. It's not like, oh, they got outplayed or anything. I think they just got outdrafted very hard, and now that they know about this strat, I think it's just going to get banned out, and they're going to have a proper, I mean, not a proper game, but a more structured game.
More structured game.
Yeah, they're just going to ban out this underload Visage, and then they have, I think, 3 chances to get it right and beat Indomitus.
Yeah, they do.
And it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, they caught Indomitus off guard. This team isn't, you won't call Origin Unknown a top tier team in Sri Lanka. Usually the only top tier teams right now, like 2 teams or something, VS and
Lanka Lions.
Lanka Lions are the only 2 teams that perform really well, and they kind of stomp everyone else right now. So it's a really big thing that Origin Unknown were able to take a game off of Lanka Lions here. But now that they know the strat, and this is a best of 5, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, definitely it's going to be quite the challenge, but I think anything can happen. That's the beauty of Dota, so may the best team win in the end of the day. But with that, of course, I felt like Lanka Lions did their best to kind of hold out. I mean, the Lina, even with the Aether Lens, is trying to cut off most of the creep waves. Paradox is doing a really good job of trying to cut these creep waves, but end of the day, they just kind of brute forced it on the side of the Radiant team, and there was really nothing that they could do, because Slark only had drums. He barely had picked up his diffusal as well. He had a very difficult laning stage as well, so there wasn't really anything that he could do in that game. And even with the Sand King, not being able to get in and get those epicenters off, getting caught out, getting rooted almost permanently.
Basically, the Oracle just stopped the Sand
King. The Oracle was just really another kind of a pick to deal with, because he kept he kept the heroes alive, and that created even more difficulty. Even the Undying wasn't being able to being brought down, because at the sliver of health he was always being saved by the Oracle, and he was doing and we thought the game would go very different, because the way the Visage died, he died 4 times in the lane.
It was okay though, like it was like the only thing he needs is HOT.
Yeah, exactly. And with the Academic Scepter, once again, like you said, Broodmother opting to trade farm with the Underlord rather than try to pressure him.
Can't pressure him too.
Yeah, you can't, that's the thing, you can't pressure him, so you might as well farm. But even then, not being able to pick up any sort of, like, I mean, he picked up the diffusal, he got those pickoffs that kind of delayed it a little bit, but it wasn't enough to close out the game.
They were very close.
Yeah, they were very close.
All they needed was 5 minutes where Brood gets 1 item, Slark gets 1 item, and they're able to bring down some of these heroes.
Yeah, exactly. I think if Brood managed to get to her BKB, I think different story.
Even BKB is a bit difficult, because they just need...
So after diffusal, what would you think that they would have picked up?
Maybe Solar Crest Brood. but because I don't think if they go BKB on Brood, they just don't have damage, and like you don't have these heroes that have these innate abilities to take down tanky heroes like I was talking about before, the Maledict from Witch Doctor, or like someone like a TA that does so much minus armor, or a Slardar to do a lot of damage in this fight. They didn't have that kit for them to be able. They had a lot of magic damage, but they had an Oracle. That was the sad part, because so that they could just
mitigate
most of the damage and heal through it. Even if they had a Dazzle, I feel like Arjun Unknown would have had a tough time. This Oracle pick really solidified the draft and countered a lot of this D push coming out from Lanka Lions.
Yeah, definitely. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for game number 2. But we'll be going into a small break, and once we come back, we'll be having game number 3, the final game in this grand finals between PnX.Lanka Lions and x3.Origin Unknowns.
Sonic Boom!